Welcome to the VU Party News.
Diana interview. PM concerned after an inquiry into BBC deceit. The British government vowed on Friday to examine how the BBC was run, after a damning inquiry into how the broadcaster got its bombshell 1995 interview with Princess Diana and unprecedented criticism from her son Prince William. An independent investigation concluded on Thursday that journalist Martin Bashir lied and deceived to persuade Diana to agree to the interview in which she disclosed intimate details of her failed marriage to heir to the throne Prince Charles. It also lambasted the BBC for its woefully ineffective investigation into Bashir's actions the following year and for covering up his wrongdoing. Bashir tricked Diana's brother into thinking her staff were spying on her and could not be trusted. In a scathing statement, Diana's eldest son William, now 38, called the way the interview was secured deceitful. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia and isolation that I remember from those final years with her. His younger brother Prince Harry said the interview was part of a series of unethical practices that ultimately cost his mother her life. "Our mother lost her life because of this, and nothing has changed," he said. Diana died aged 36 in a Paris car crash in 1997, having become an effective outcast from the royal family, which she suspected of trying to undermine her as her relationship with Charles, William's father, collapsed. The BBC has apologized for its failings, but ministers, newspapers, critics and some supporters said the episode raised questions for the publicly funded broadcaster. Doing nothing not an option. Britain's Justice Minister, Robert Buckland, says doing nothing was not an option in light of the inquiry by former UK Supreme Court Judge John Disson. Media Minister Oliver Dowden said they would consider whether further reforms were needed during a review of the BBC's Royal Charter, which sets the 98-year-old broadcaster's mission due in 2022 before it needs to be renewed in 2027. "I am obviously concerned by the findings of Lord Disson's report," Prime Minister Boris Johnson told broadcasters. "I can only imagine the feelings of the royal family, and I hope very much that the BBC will be taking every possible step to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again." Some in his Conservative government, including Johnson himself, have voiced skepticism about the BBC's funding model, a licence fee levied on all households with a TV, while many accuse it of being politically biased. "There's got to be a serious governance structural change inside the BBC," former BBC chairman Michael Gray told BBC Radio. Some newspapers were damning in their assessment of the report, likening the BBC's failures to a phone hacking scandal involving tabloid reporters a decade ago. 10 years ago, when the phone hacking scandal closed the news of the world, BBC journalists were among the loudest of those baying for blood and desperate to see the Sun engulfed too. The Sun newspaper, the twin tabloid of Rupert Murdoch's defunct News of the World, wrote in its editorial, "Their stinking hypocrisy is not lost on us." However, some critics of print media said the issue was merely being used as revenge. Amid the orgy of hypocrisy generated by William's statement in the press, worth reflecting just how different is the BBC reporting of its own failings today than the lack of such reporting by newspapers. "On their own failings," said Alistair Campbell, former Prime Minister Tony Blair's communications chief. London police said officers would assess the contents of Disson's report to see if there was any significant new evidence, having previously ruled out a criminal investigation.
I would like to thank Lord Dyson and his team for the report. It is welcome that the BBC accepts Lord Dyson's findings in full, which are extremely concerning. That BBC employees lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother, made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia, displayed woeful incompetence when investigating complaints and concerns about the programme, and were evasive in their reporting to the media and covered up what they knew from their internal investigation. It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia and isolation that I remember from those final years with her. But what saddens me most is that if the BBC had properly investigated the complaints and concerns first raised in 1995, my mother would have known that she had been deceived. She was failed not just by a rogue reporter, but by leaders at the BBC who looked the other way rather than asking the tough questions. It is my firm view that this panorama programme holds no legitimacy and should never be aired again. It effectively established a false narrative which for over a quarter of a century has been commercialised by the BBC and others. This settled narrative now needs to be addressed by the BBC and anyone else who has written or intends to write about these events. In an era of fake news, public service broadcasting and a free press have never been more important. These failings, identified by investigative journalists, not only let my mother down and my family down, they let the public down too.
The presenter is Peter, and producer-editor is VU Party team members. The reporter and editor from VU Party team members, live from Washington, D.C. Bellevue City, USA.